Hi, y'all. Welcome to the channel. So rail-to-trail projects are becoming ubiquitous across the United States. You can't really find a city that isn't doing a rail-to-trail project, ripping out an old unused railroad and building a multi-use trail on it. Today we're going to be talking about my hometown and current home's rail-to-trail project, the Atlanta Beltline. So the Atlanta Beltline is a rail-to-trail project encircling the entire in-town city. So it's connecting 22 different neighborhoods. I think it's about 33 miles of trail. And there are also plans to build light rail around most of the trail as well and connect up all of our heavy rail stations with a inner borough route. So there's many promises with this project, obviously. Some of the obvious ones are increased park space, increased density. There's planned retail and housing across the entire thing. And then affordable housing is also a major component because the trail goes through so many different levels of income neighborhoods. The idea is to connect these neighborhoods and make the city more equitable. Is it succeeding in that? A little bit. Mostly no, and we'll get into that. So let's go ahead and jump into what's good about the Beltline. It really is just a nice place to be. It's very easy to walk on. It's very easy to bike on. You can get a lot of different places fairly quickly, at least on the parts that are paved. And some sections are different than others. The oldest section is the east side section, which has tons of retail and housing and restaurants and bars, but it really just is a nice place to be. Pretty much any time I'm showing someone around the city, the first stop is the East Side Beltline, going to Pont City Market and then walking around, whatever. Really, it's interesting because the East Side Beltline is one of the densest areas of the city. Walking there on any day in the summer is so busy. It's like probably one of the best places in the city for people watching. Like it's just cool place to be, a really unique place. You don't really see it in a lot of other places, only in cities that actually have like a dense like urban core where people are walking around. And it's really cool to see people just out and about walking, biking. And then obviously for biking, it really connects up a lot of neighborhoods and makes it easy to travel through, off the road of cars. I use it. I know a lot of people who use it. It's a pretty great amenity for that reason. Another reason why it's good is that it's adding a lot of density to the city. Atlanta is a very sprawled out city. Within the city limits, there's only 500,000 people, but in the metro area, we have over 6 million, most who commute by car. So it's a pretty sprawled out city. It's not a lot of density or like real urban feel to a lot of the city. So the Beltline is like doing a really crazy job at creating a walkable, like enjoyable space. But we've seen over $8 billion of private investment being dumped into the Beltline adjacent properties. They've created a district called the Beltline Tax Allocation District that increases taxes along the Beltline in order to fund future projects along the Beltline. So that'll fund like part of the light rail that's coming. That'll fund part the continued paving of the trail. That'll fund affordable housing. So these developers come in, they develop, they pay higher taxes on that, and that goes directly into the project. Really, there's a lot of bad that comes with the Beltline as well. So we'll go ahead and jump into that. My first point on this is that it's just gotten too busy, especially the East Side Beltline. It's like incredibly busy, especially on a nice day. So if you're walking, you're pretty in danger of getting hit by a e-bike or a e-motorcycle or something. And if you're biking, you feel like you're going to kill someone pretty much every 5 seconds. It's a pretty chaotic place. And some people like that, but it definitely is like not the most welcoming environment when it's super busy. And my point earlier about it being a good bicycle amenity, like when it's busy like this, it's really not a great way to take. Like I would almost rather be on the road with cars in that situation. We need some separation from pedestrians and cyclists on the trail. And that gets me to my next point, which is there is a proposed extension of the Atlanta Streetcar onto the Beltline going all the way up to Pont City Market, which is great. Like I think it's a really great project and I really want to see it happen. And like that'll alleviate some of the pressure on the trail itself. Like it'll make it much less busy, I'm sure. It would also just be great to not need a bike to like quickly go up and down the trail, because at the moment it's a pretty far walk, and I think a lot of people will use the streetcar, which is currently not very used at the moment. It's like the least used public transit route in the city. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of NIMBYism crop up about the streetcar extension, which is really unfortunate. They're saying that it's too expensive. They're saying that it'll ruin the character of the Beltline. Most of the people saying this are private single-family homeowners along the Beltline. Like something I find really interesting personally is a lot of the signs you see. These houses aren't even blocks away from Martin Luther King's birthplace, which is, it's kind of insane to protest a transit project, especially in this area. But this brings me into my next point, is affordable housing component of the Beltline. Now, the project is supposed to be bringing, I think, 5,600 units of affordable housing by its completion. So that's by 2030. Obviously, that's a great number to hit. We should hit more, but I digress. The Beltline since 2005 has historically had a really bad time of communicating their housing numbers with the public. They've had multiple issues claiming certain affordable housing projects that they claim to be within the Beltline district, but were clearly not. So they would claim it, they hit like the quota, and then they would backtrack, and then we would have less affordable housing than was promised. But it does seem since 2019 we're seeing better transparency. So we've seen at least 300 units being added year over year since 2019, which is great. But unfortunately, the damage is already kind of done, especially like on the east side. The east side is so dense and built up. It's one of the most expensive areas of the city now. Average rent in the city is around $2,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment. And you probably can't even find a 2-bed on the Beltline for less than $3,000 these days. So even at 60 to 80% AMI, that's not really affordable, even if it was on the east side. So most of the affordable housing is being built on the newly built west side or the south side, which is being currently built. When the Beltline started, there's a whole crap ton of speculation happening on the west and south side. These are historically lower income neighborhoods, Black neighborhoods, and we've seen the demographics of these neighborhoods change a lot since the Beltline has come in. The west side is mostly paved now, and they're currently paving the south side and southwest side to connect it all up. And like, these were very like low income neighborhoods, and now the housing prices have skyrocketed through the roof. The city did a terrible job at preventing this from happening and preventing housing prices from spiking like they did, and this caused tons of displacement, and the gentrification is happening now. They're building lots of amenities that are for a wealthier crowd, because the goal of the Beltline, right, was to decrease sprawl, like provide affordable housing or provide equity, like bring people together. But really, it's just kind of pushed out lower income people and become a project really just for the rich and wealthy, which urbanism for the rich is talked about a lot online. And it's like the Beltline kind of is that. It's just another example of green gentrification coming through, promising to improve neighborhoods. But unfortunately, like when you improve neighborhoods without preparing for the displacement, you just push out people that is supposed to benefit. And, like the Beltline is doing better now, but it's like 20 years too late. And a lot of these people who couldn't afford to live there are already gone. So, and they probably won't be coming back either. So that's just really unfortunate to see. And my last point I want to make is that rail trails in general, like I think they're a good idea. Like I think they're nice spaces to be, but I would honestly argue that they're just a form of car dependency in themselves. Atlanta is a very car dependent city these days, for various reasons. I'm not going to get into this video, but we're basically saying that our city is built for cars. Our roads are for cars. Like we shouldn't create engaging urban spaces. So instead, we're going to build this pedestrian trail and build these pedestrian friendly spaces, since we have to have cars in the road. So we're going to have full separation because it's kind of weird. Yeah. Like being on the Beltline is super nice. It's super great. Like I love being on the Beltline personally. Like it's a really nice place to be. But as soon as you step off of it, you're either in single family homes or you're in a parking lot or you're on a massive road, massive strode, whatever. It's really jarring to say the least. Anyways, thanks y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks.